Hi, my name is Angela Pennant and I'm the youth leader here at Sacramento First Church of the Nazarene, and today we're going to talk about fear. So what was something that you were really afraid of when you were a small child? What helped you not to be afraid of that? For me, as a child, I was afraid of the dark. In fact, I'm still afraid of the dark. I have night lights everywhere in my house. I sleep with a teddy bear and I have a lighted panel next to my bed that emits a really bright, shining blue light. Fear is something that all of us struggle with at some point. Maybe you can remember lying in bed as a small child and being so afraid of the shadows on the walls. Maybe you thought they were monsters, or being afraid of the dark like me. How many times have you been afraid of something only to find that it really wasn't that bad? But no amount of telling yourself that it was okay before that point seemed to help. Think about the first time you went on a roller coaster. A big roller coaster that flips you upside down. Remember standing underneath it, looking up and feeling really excited yet really scared? Or remember the first time you stood in front of a crowd to speak. You looked out at everyone's face with their big eyes looking back at you and you felt like you were going to be sick. Fear is a very real and powerful emotion, and it can cause us to do some pretty crazy things too. So let me ask you, what are you afraid of today? Maybe it's your future. Maybe it's what others think about you. Maybe it's not having enough food. Many people fear death or someone that they love dying. Maybe it's that you will find out that something you have done, or maybe you're afraid that someone will find out something that you have done or something that you're ashamed of. Maybe you're afraid of love, or maybe you're afraid of disappointing people. Maybe you're afraid what we're going through right now as a nation. Maybe you feel afraid that your future is uncertain because everything is changing so fast and all of the comforts that we are grown accustomed to are gone. Maybe you're afraid that the world is coming to an end because everything feels out of control right now. The list could go on and on. Now, this list of fear would also change depending on where we are in life, of what type of community we live in. There are some places in the world today where people worry about violence or what they will eat. They worry that war will break out or that their lives are in danger. For them, fear is very real, and it's life or death. Can you imagine living every day with that level of fear? Think about how your body feels when you're really afraid. Sweaty palms, your stomach gets queasy, and every single inch of your body is on alert. Each of us respond to fear in different ways. Some of us freeze, others run, others fight, but regardless, we all know what it feels like to be afraid. Fear can be truly paralyzing, and it can be very difficult to think clearly when you are afraid. It's no surprise then that the Bible talks to us about fear and about being afraid. Isaiah 41:9-10 tells us, "I took you from places far away on the earth and called you from a faraway country, and I said, 'You are my servants.' I have chosen you and I have not turned against you. So don't worry, because I am with you. Do not be afraid, because I am your God, and I will make you strong and I will help you. And I will support you with my right hand that saves you." This scripture is one that we should all memorize because it's so important. Is there really anything that we should be afraid of when we have God with us? But it is almost like God knows that we will struggle with fear, isn't it? He reminds us that He is here with us. And He tells us not to fear. Why? Because God is with us. I want you to say that with me. God is with us. And not only that, He will strengthen us. And if His presence with us isn't enough, He also gives us strength. God knows that we will be afraid. Over and over in Scripture are these reminders. Do not be afraid. Do not fear. So think about the situations that cause you to be afraid. And now picture yourself facing those situations with God, because that is your reality. You don't have to face these things alone. Do not fear. God is with you. Even those people who live in real fear every single day, God's promise is true for them, just like it's true for you. God is greater than all of our fears, and He can and will give us the strength to face our fears. Right now in your home or wherever you are, I want you to get a piece of paper, and I want you to think about your fear. What is it that you're afraid of today? What is keeping you up at night? What fear is paralyzing you from moving forward and having a true, authentic relationship with God? Be honest with yourself. Look deep within and ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Now get a piece of paper and a pen and write your fear down. Write it on your paper, no matter what it is or how silly you think it sounds or how deep your fear is. Write it down. This is my fear. I wrote my fear down, and it says, I am afraid that I am not good enough. Guys, this isn't for show. That really is my biggest fear. I'm being really open and raw and honest with you right now, and that is my fear. You see, I put all of this pressure and all these expectations on myself to be everything to everyone, when really the only person that I should be worried about being anything to is God. I fear that people will think I'm not doing the right thing, or people will think I'm not saying the right thing. I fear that I'm not being a good enough wife or a good enough youth leader to the kids in this church. I fear that I'm not good enough to have all of the blessings that God has given me. I fear that I'm not good enough to be loved by God. And what I should be focused on is living my life for God and not for my family or for my friends or even the people in this church, my coworkers, people on Facebook, and especially not myself. The only person whose opinion matters is God. And if I am living my life in a way that is pleasing to Him, then no one else should matter. When I put my trust and have faith in Him, I have nothing to fear. Now look back at your fear. What does it say? Does it say that you're afraid of the dark? Does it say that you're afraid that no one will ever love you? Does it say that you're afraid the world is coming to an end? Does it say that you are afraid of catching a virus? Turn your paper over. On the back, I want you to write these words. Fear not, I am with you. Fear not, I am with you. Write that on the back of your paper where your fear is. Guys, no matter what your fear is, I promise you, God can handle it. He is bigger than your fear of the dark. He's bigger than your fear of not being good enough. He's bigger than your fear of catching a virus. When you think about the fact that God is right there with you, holding your hand and guiding you, you should have no reason to be afraid. You are never facing your fears alone because God is with you, always. Just because God is with you does not mean your life will turn out perfectly. It doesn't mean that people that you love won't die or that people will never get sick, but it does mean that God will get you through those times. I want you to keep that paper you wrote on, and I want you to look at it whenever you feel afraid, and I want you to remind yourself, He will never leave you and He loves you, even when you feel unlovable. God is with you.